Welcome to PlayPianoTODAY.com. This is video number 1 of 3, taken from the opening sections of the course titled Pattern Piano and Keyboard. Hi, this is David. We've got a course online titled Pattern Piano and Keyboard. Now, I don't necessarily want to give you a big spiel for that course, but I do want to let you know that this video and the videos connected with it are taken from the first 20 minutes of that course. Now, the bulk of that course is taken up with teaching you something called Rhythmic Patterns. Now, if you've never heard of them, Rhythmic Patterns are a powerful technique. They can be mixed and matched over any chord, anywhere on the keyboard, to play any song by ear with your own unique style. It's a fantastic technique. This video and the videos connected with it are taken from just the first 20 minutes of that course. Now, this is the section of the course before we get into rhythmic patterns. However, it's still super important because we'll be covering the basic foundations of music theory. By the time you've gone through these short videos, you'll understand both how as well as why chords and scales are created and fit together. Enjoy! Now, if you've ever counted all the black and white notes on a piano, you'd know that there are 88 black and white notes combined. Now, I've just put a few up there, and I've done that just to make a point. There are only 7 different names of notes, A through G, in the musical alphabet. Here's your first foundational pattern. 7 different names of notes, and they repeat over and over again up and down the keyboard. Now, take a look at the picture again. Remember, this is just a small section of the keyboard. Notice, though, even in this small section, you've got a couple of A's. There's one to the right and then one on the left. But if I had the entire keyboard laid out for you, you would notice that there would be a few more A's, a few more B's, a few C's, D's, E's, F's, and G's. But notice there's no H's, right? No LMNOP's. The extent of the musical alphabet is A through G. Then they repeat over and over again up and down the keyboard. Like I said, it's a foundational pattern. Let me show you. We're going to talk about finding particular note names now. You've just got to find where these notes lie in relation to the groups of black notes on the keyboard. Do you see this group of 2 black notes? Just to the left is always C. Now, look for another group of 2 black notes on the keyboard. Here's a group of 2. Just to the left is C. Remember I told you you would see lots of C's, D's, E's, F's, and G's? There's another C. Okay, that's one of 2 note names I'm going to have you memorize. Look to the left of a group of 3 black notes. That's always F, okay? Here's an F. Just to the left of a group of 3 black notes, way down low. Okay, I'm just going to have you memorize C and F. From there, we'll be able to find all the other note names quickly. Let me show you. If you can quickly find a C on the keyboard, it's easy enough to go one more in the alphabet then and find this note, right? It's D. Let's go back to C. Now, I'm going to have you think backwards for a second, but you know what? Musicians are kind of backwards anyways. So let's think backwards in the alphabet. B as in boy, right? How about one more backwards? A as in apple. So if you can quickly find C, you can find the notes around C. Let's look at F. You can quickly find any F on the keyboard, can't you? Just find any group of 3, go to the left, you've got an F. Now, if you find F, you go one more in the musical alphabet, G, right? Okay, let's go back to F and go backwards, right? Backwards 1 in the alphabet from F is E. Okay, so now, guess what? In a couple of minutes now, you've learned how to find all the note names on the keyboard just by memorizing where the F's are and where the C's are. Then you can find the notes in the general vicinity of either one of those notes. Let's go on. Sharps. Now, this is a musical term you're going to run into all the time. It's very simple. To make any note sharp, play the very next note to the right. Okay, I've picked a C right in the middle of the piano. Now, I'd like you to play a C sharp. The definition says play the very next note to the right. And common sense might tell you to play this, but watch out. There's a note that's even closer. This black note is just to the right of C. Okay, now don't get hung up on the colors of notes. You'll hear me say that a billion times in this course. The black note is just to the right of C, so that's C sharp. The most important thing in music is not the colors of notes, right? The most important thing in music is the distances or the intervals between notes. You're going to hear that a lot. Intervals means the distances between notes. So these notes are right next to each other. This note is just to the right of C, so that's C sharp. Let's do a couple more. How about G sharp? You're not going to play this, are you? Because you see, there's another one just to the right of G. That's G sharp. Okay, let me give you a trick question now. Here's E. Now, I'd like you to play E sharp. The definition says play the very next note to the right, but guess what? There's no black note to go to. Stick with the definition. The very next note to the right is E sharp. I can hear you. You're saying, you're such a liar. You told us that was F. Well, it is F in some contexts. But in this context, when you're talking about E and you want to find E sharp, the very next note to the right is E sharp. So you've just learned another important principle. Notes can have different names depending on what context they're being played, okay? So this note can be F or it can be E sharp. Okay, some things you just kind of got to take on faith to begin with, right? Just like in life. But you'll understand as we dig a little deeper. Let's go for another trick question. Well, I call it a trick question, but I know you're going to get the answer right. Can you play B sharp? There's no black note, is there? There's a note that looks very much like C, and it is C in some context. But in this context, that's B sharp. The definition says to make any note sharp, play the very next note to the right. Page 4, flats. Now we're moving right through this technical stuff. Now you're going to be into some music in just a moment. Let's look at the parentheses I have there. There's a small case B, or again, what looks like a small case B. That's the musical sign for a flat. Now flats, they're pretty easy. They're just exactly the opposite of sharps. The definition says to make any note flat, play the very next note to the left. Let's take a look. Let's pick a B a little higher this time. Now, you've got a little experience with this business, so you're going to know that the very next note to the left of B is, that's B flat, right? Okay. How about G flat? Here's a G. The very next note to the left is G flat. Okay, here comes a trick question, but not for you. You know the answer. How about F flat? Wow, right there, a note that looks very much like E. These notes have multiple personalities, okay? They go by different names. So that's E, also known as F flat, depending on the context, okay? You'll get this stuff. How about C flat? Here's a C. Just to the left is C flat. One very quick note here. Sometimes instead of saying to the right, musicians will say up. And the reverse is also true. Instead of saying the next note to the left, sometimes musicians will say the next note down. Those terms are interchangeable.
This has been video number 1 of 3, taken from the first section of Pattern Piano and Keyboard. I hope you'll take a second and leave your comments. That's super helpful. Thanks for watching.